Thank you for your patience, folks. I apologize for the delay. We will keep the formal part of this news conference fairly short, so we'll have time for questions from everybody. My name is Stephen Brown. I'm Executive Director of the Rhode Island ACLU. And then next to me is Lynette Labinger, who was the ACLU, one of the ACLU volunteer attorneys, who has handled this lawsuit from the beginning. Next to her, of course, is Jessica Ahlquist, the plaintiff in the case, and next to her is her father, Mark Ahlquist. We'll start with having Lynette give a brief summary of the court's decision yesterday and some comments. Then we'll hear from Jessica, and then we'll open it up to questions from everybody. Thank you.
Good morning. Yesterday, Senior District Judge Lagueux issued a 40-page decision and order resolving the case that we brought on behalf of Jessica Ahlquist last spring. Because of the status, he has ruled both granting a preliminary injunction requiring that the prayer display be removed immediately, and providing for the entry of a final judgment to that effect after some other procedural matters are resolved. In that 40-page opinion, the court found that the display violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, ordered its immediate removal. The judge stated, "No amount of debate can make the school prayer anything other than a prayer," while acknowledging that the prayer espouses values of honesty, kindness, friendship, and sportsmanship. The reliance on God's intervention as the way to achieve those goals is not consistent with the secular purpose. Although some school officials sought to minimize the display's clear religious message, instead calling it historic or artistic, the judge made clear that the school committee's decision to maintain the prayer, quote, "endorse the position of those who believe that it is acceptable to use Christian prayer to instill values in public school children," close quote. Obviously, we're very pleased with the decision. Roger Williams, the founder of the Rhode Island Colony, opposed government-sanctioned or mandated expressions of religious piety as denigrating true religious beliefs. Ironically, in order to present their argument in favor of the continued display of the school prayer, the officials of the city of Cranston argued to the court that there was no religious significance to the school prayer, attempted to reject and trivialize its religious message in order to preserve it. The district court carefully reviewed the record to conclude, as we had argued, that the school prayer was installed to convey a religious message, and that the decision to maintain it in 2011 was infused with a religious purpose and effect. The controversy which developed in 2010 and 2011 over continuing to display the prayer demonstrated the rancor and divisiveness that often accompanies challenges to the majority view of religion. In the United States, because of our heritage, our core beliefs, and the First Amendment, that argument is thankfully fought with words and lawsuits. There are many places throughout the world where this is not the case. The court's vindication of Jessica's rights is a vital reminder of the importance of these principles. Sorry?
Good morning. I guess I need to just say that I'm so glad and proud that the right decision was made and that the Constitution was upheld. I'm thankful for all that the ACLU, Steve Brown, Lynette Labinger, Thomas Bender, and my supportive friends and family have done for me through all of this. I don't think it would have been possible without them. I am hopeful that this case can be looked back at someday and will be a good example to those who are facing similar situations and who will stand up for their rights and do the same. It's been a very long and difficult year for me and my family, and we're just so glad now that it's finally been decided.
Okay, let's open it up.
What do you mean by long and difficult, Jessica?
Well, it's been about a year and a half now, and unfortunately, I've had to deal with a lot of harassment and negative flack from people who disagreed with my views, my opinions on all of this. It's all worth it though. Even though all that happened, now I think it was all worth it.
Worth it, talk about worth it.
I could have not said anything, but I did what I believed in, and I'm glad that I did.
What kind of reaction are you getting from your classmates at school?
I'm sure a lot of them are very unhappy with the decision that was made, but I think there's also a lot of kids in the school who do agree with me and who can maybe feel somewhat liberated because of the ruling.
Was there ever a time you thought twice about going through with it?
Not really, no. I'm pretty sure from the very beginning, when Steve first asked me if I wanted to sign on to the lawsuit, I knew I wanted to because I felt strongly about this.
How did it make you feel seeing that prayer, seeing the banner each day?
It's not something that belongs in a school. When I saw it there, I knew it didn't belong. And every time that I saw it, it was a reminder that my school wasn't doing the right thing and that my school didn't necessarily support me and my views. So
What are your views?
My views religiously, I don't have any. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any sort of God or supernatural powers. My political views and the views of this country are that church and state should remain separate.
To hear some of the people in Cranston tell it, city officials, they're going to appeal, doesn't seem to be over.
That might happen. If it does, then the fight will continue.
Has this impacted your career path in any way? Some people, when they're exposed to the law, decide to go into the law.
I don't know yet if law is for me as a career. I haven't given too much thought as to what I want to do after high school, but I'm sure I'll be doing something where I can tie all this together.
How did you feel when you first heard about this ruling?
I was thrilled, and to some degree I was relieved. I wasn't surprised because in my own mind I knew that what we were doing was right, and I was sure that the judge would understand that. There was some doubt, I guess, like there always is, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that he decided to make this decision.
What were you doing when you heard about it?
I was sitting in the car, actually.
The timing is interesting here. Last night I was at a talk at Brown by John Barry, the guy who just wrote Roger Williams and the Creation of the American Soul. And I'm wondering if you think this goes to the American soul, and if you want to get heady on us here.
Well, I don't necessarily believe in the soul, but if you want to talk about the soul of this country, I think, yeah, I think this is exactly what should be happening in America. I think this is what true American values are.
Meaning what?
This country was founded to be a secular country. We're supposed to keep church and state separate so that people can have their rights and their freedom to choose. And I think that this lawsuit is a reflection of that.
Mr. Ahlquist, what do you think of what your daughter has accomplished?
Would you mind moving your microphones over before you answer that
Just
question?
lean over.
Or you move toward the
Yeah, just
microphone.
lean over a little,
No
that's,
problem.
yeah. What do you think, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm proud of her.
Is that all you have to say?
Jessica, what do you hope some of your other classmates will take from this?
Well, I hope that they realize that this was the fairest way that the decision could be made. I hope that they understand that even if they do have religious views that are different than mine, they can go on having that, and we can even be friends. The point is that it doesn't belong in a school.
Well, speaking of that, what has been the backlash for you? Have you lost friends? Have you gained friends?
Both. A lot of the people I've met because of this have become really close friends, and the friends who I've lost, I guess, weren't really my friends anyway, if they weren't willing to stand behind me in this.
Did it ever get so uncomfortable that you thought of leaving that school?
I've had some difficult experiences there. I don't know how West is for me now, but I was going to stay in the school until the lawsuit was over, for sure.
And
How
you're a
about next
junior.
year?
I don't know yet.
You're a junior, so I guess the same question, do you plan to remain there?
I don't know yet.
Back
You
to
mean
Roger
it's possible
Williams.
that you're gonna leave?
I don't know yet.
Can we go back to Roger Williams for a minute? I just am fascinated by the idea that, does this give you any, excuse me, any insight into what it's like, what it was like for him, and now for you, you now, him, them, to be an outcast, to be a trailblazer, to be a pariah, to be somebody going against the grain, for something bigger than what everybody in the moment thinks is right?
It's hard, but when you know what you're saying is right, it makes it a lot easier to stand up for that. If you really believe in something, which I do, I believe in this country, I believe in the values that it stands for, then it makes it so much easier, and it makes it so worth it.
I mean, are we right back to the truth shall set you free? Is that where you're, is that sort of the base level thought? I mean, what is?
I guess so. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be applied to this. It's just standing up for what you believe in because you know it's right. And no matter what happens, not letting that get you down. You have to, even if kids in school hate you, even if there's nasty comments all over the internet, it's important to just stand true to what you believe in.
Have you been back to school since yesterday afternoon when the decision came down?
No, I came right here this morning.
Okay, so when you go back to school for the first time, are you going to go to the auditorium or check it out?
I'll probably go to homeroom. I'll have to. I don't know. I don't know when I'll go to the auditorium. I would like to go see it, yeah.
Should this be a teachable moment, seeing, given we're in school for everybody in school and the rest of us? What's the education here?
Well, it's American history, and it's what we should all know. It's what we should all stand for. It's the best for all of us. And even if you can't understand that because you have religious ideas, this is helping them too. It's positive. It's a positive result for all of us involved. Even the Christian kids in school will benefit because of this.
How?
Because this is their country too, and the judge is enforcing what our country stands for.
Can you describe the nature of some of the threats that have been made against you during this whole process?
I am not too familiar with the comments that have been left on the internet. I know that my address was posted on the Projo last night. I don't think there was any threatening nature attached to that, but there are some scary things that are said.
Have you received any direct threats to yourself, or have people said anything to you at school, or do you feel unsafe?
A while ago, people said something about how I should get beaten up, but nothing came of that, and I don't expect anything to.
Question for Steve. One thing that people keep bringing up in the whole discussion about separation of church and state, they mentioned that in God we trust on American currency, and that was referenced in the decision. Can you just elaborate on that just a little bit? Because I think a lot of people will bring that up when they see this or read about this.
Well, again, In God We Trust wasn't always on our currency, and it was put in there, as many things are, for political reasons, just as Under God was added to the Pledge of Allegiance in the 1950s. I think one of the really basic principles, and Jessica touched upon this, in terms of protecting religious liberty, is keeping the government out of religion, because it ends up trivializing, denigrating, and demeaning religion, and we saw that in this case. School officials, the government, tried to say everything but the prayer is religious, and I don't see how that helps religion.
Lynette, what do you think your chances are of being affirmed on appeal?
We believe that, as we argued, that the case law supported our position, and we think that the decision that was rendered was the correct decision, and if it goes up on appeal, we intend to argue the precedents that exist.
And you're confident that you'll be?
I never give odds.
So what's the timeline now? A mechanical question here. The order was immediately, but immediately is a murky, right? What does that mean?
Well, there were some procedural issues. The judge correctly recognized that a judgment needs to enter. The parties had agreed that in the event that there was a finding in favor of the plaintiff, that in addition to whatever injunctive relief the court might order, that Jessica would also be granted a small amount of damages, I think it was $25. And the court also recognized that we're, as prevailing plaintiffs, are entitled to seek a recovery of attorney's fees to be paid by the other side. So this order builds in a timeline for us to file an application for those fees, 20 days for us and 10 days for the other side to respond. Then the court will make a ruling. Eventually, when that ruling is made, a final judgment will be entered that incorporates the injunction, the damages, and any award of attorney's fees, and that'll be an appealable order. In the meantime, the courts, instead of leaving this status quo, directed immediately that the prayer be removed. So that's the nature of the preliminary injunction, and by immediate, to me, that means right now, whatever time it takes to remove it, he's expecting that it's going to be removed.
Has it been removed yet? I mean, just at a basic level, does anyone know that?
I mean, I got this decision by electronic filing. It came into my office at 4:30. I found out about it at 5 o'clock. I can't imagine that anybody has, realistically done anything. I wouldn't expect that.
Lynette, do you know anything about the removal? Do you know if it's going to be painted over, if they're going to do a big thing about it being painted or anything?
I don't know. I certainly, I'm happy to have any conversation with the other side to make sure that, if they want to preserve it, it seems to me there are ways to preserve it.
Who determined that Jessica's damages were worth $25?
I'm sorry?
Who determined that Jessica's damages were worth?
That, the lawyers did that. It was a, rather than get into, this case was about the not having a prayer where a high school student who objected to it was visible. There were clearly injuries that Jess has suffered, and she's reported some of them to you now. We developed some of them in the case, but we did not want to get sidetracked into a prolonged discussion about how you measure those and what, how personally it affected her. So the parties agreed that we would fix an amount, and that just made it simple and straightforward and kept our eye on the issue that was most critical to both sides, which is whether this prayer remains or not in a public school.
Do you think it ought to be removed right away?
Yeah.
Was this one of the most courageous, maybe the most courageous thing you've done, ever?
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, I'm going to say yes. She may not have realized it at the time. A lot of times we talk about people who are heroes, and they say, I'm just an ordinary person. I didn't, you don't plan it out. I mean, and we developed in the case, and I think Jess is a little bit struck by all of the flashing cameras and questions, but when she developed in her testimony and her affidavit, when she stepped forward, she thought she was just piling on to a general sentiment that everyone would agree to. We don't know why it was here, but it should come down. You never saw yourself as someone who was staking out a position all by herself. And she fully expected that she would just be saying, yeah, I oppose it, and the school committee would do the right thing and say, you know, it's there and it shouldn't be there and it's going to be gone. And events took things away, and the standing up in the face of that and thinking she was taking a little commonplace step turned out to be a monumental leap. And sticking with it is a very courageous thing. I'm so proud of her.
Do you know of any other schools that have this type of thing? Is this, the only school?
No, it's not. Because of what I did, and because it was on the internet, 2 other students, one named Harrison Hopkins in South Carolina, he was a senior last year, he opposed a graduation prayer that was to be said, and I tried to help him as much as I could with that. Another student, Damon Fowler, who was a senior in Louisiana, also opposed a graduation prayer that was to be said, and both of them had a difficult time too, but I think in the end, while they didn't have lawsuits, they still had a very large internet presence about all of this, and it was possible that there could be legal action taken, but it wasn't likely in their cases because it was so late in the game.
Do you think, Jessica, that this is sort of the start, this is going to be the case that sort of sets the ground for more things like this happening?
I definitely hope so. When I think about what made me decide about all of this, the Lee versus Weissman case was a pretty big inspiration for me, and I hope that someday my case can serve as that for somebody else.
Do you think this will be for you personally the ultimate confidence builder, and that for the rest of your life you'll just do your own thinking and maybe just be inclined to say, you know what, that's not right, and I'm going to take that on?
Yeah, I guess so. I think that I would have to try not to be involved in these things. It's kind of a part of me where I feel almost responsible for saying what I believe and standing up for the Constitution.
Thank you very much.
As a practical matter, this is painted on concrete block, is it not?
Yeah.
There's some
I
dispute over
don't
that.
think so.
Or is it what is it?
Well, in fact, and I'm no architect, but the Cranston High School West seems to have, the side walls are freestanding, they don't go all the way up to the ceiling. I'm not sure if I looked on the back side, but I believe it's mostly like a plasterboard kind of thing. And then this particular mural is painted on a paper that was affixed to this wall, but I mean, I think you can see the back side of the wall just by stepping around it, the way the construction is. Ironically, there was a school prayer at Bain Middle School, which was only removed once we filed the lawsuit, and they were able to take that down.
Can it be removed, or does it have to be painted over, do you know?
Well, removed to us means removed.
Well, I know,
mean,
but
I
as a
don't,
practical matter, do you know what they will have to do?
I don't think there is, I think the word removed means that it's no longer visible, no longer accessible. I don't think removed means either painted over or cut out or blown up or any specific thing, and it leaves it appropriately to the school administration to figure out the way they want to remove it, as long as at the end of the day it's removed.
I'm still back to immediately. You say the end of the day, but you're speaking loosely in that the end of the day meaning just that's the expression, right? You don't really mean the end of today, do you? Or do you?
I don't mean at the end of today. I do mean I would expect that before students go back into that auditorium, something will be done. I mean, I don't know that that auditorium is used by students every single day, and today is a Thursday.
Is it Jessica, is it used daily?
By some people, there are after-school activities, there's
Right.
theaters, stuff like that. Maybe not every single day, but quite often.
Not
Then-
study halls or
Then
anything?
that would
Yeah.
be, immediately would be sometime before it's used again, as a practical matter. I mean,
Pending appeal, that it shouldn't, another event shouldn't happen with that there.
That
pending
would be
appeal.
our position. You know,
Is that what the judge's position is too, do you think?
You've read the words, it says
Yeah, okay.
remove it
That's what I
immediately.
read, that's
To
what I'm
me,
getting.
immediately means go in there and get it out, or get it gone, whatever, but without delay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to school now?
Probably. Eat some breakfast first.
Good idea.